Let me ask you this, because we've talked about this before. If they did make the back of the head legal, like they used to in the old days, like when Renzo Gracie fought that guy Ben Strikers, remember that?
Yes.
He fought that judo guy, took his back and just blasted him with elbows to the back of the head.
Those early battle cage shows where John Lewis would get a guy's back, he would just put his leg hooks in. The guy would be in like in a turtle position. He'd get his leg hooks and rear naked chokes. I remember telling people before they banned those strikes to the back of the head. I remember saying rear naked chokes are so not important. What's important is getting the back control, putting your leg hooks in, getting good at riding and not get slipping off, and just throwing fucking elbows. Rear naked choke is like if you want to be nice to the guy. You don't even need it. It's totally optional. The game is getting a guy's back and battering him with elbows in the back of the head. That's how fights were ending instantly. If those back of the elbow strikes were legal today, man, UFCs would be a lot shorter. They would be bringing in them prelims. They would have fucking 17 prelims. You know what I'm saying? Because if you factor in all the time someone had someone's back and the fight didn't end because they weren't allowed to strike, there'd be short-ass fights everywhere.
Well, it's true because, like, I guess, like, medically it's really dangerous.
I guess.
Right? I
but
guess.
Isn't that kick to the back of the head the same thing? No one's jumping up and down for that.
But also, like, how much more dangerous is it than getting your eye socket blown in?
Exactly.
Like we saw in that Barboza fight or that Pettis fight with Charles Oliveira. God damn. Demian Maia.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying before, is that this is what we always wanted from Rickson.
Yeah.
We wanted a guy who could do, like, the kind of jiu-jitsu that we knew existed out there in the world. We wanted to see it in MMA. Whereas the MMA jiu-jitsu, you'd see, like, great flashes. Occasionally you get a guy like Jacare or someone who's, like, real high levels fighting in MMA. But the highest level expression of it is this guy right now. In MMA, I mean, who the fuck's got, like, tighter, better, more world-class jiu-jitsu in MMA right now than Demian Maia? It's hard to argue.
Jacare's right up there with
He's right up there.
Jacare could do that.
Yeah, so could Hodger.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, isn't Jacare 170 or is it 185?
He's 185.
Okay, so that's a little
different weight
okay.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, that level is just so intense and so extreme.
It was a long road for Demian Maia because in the beginning, he knew he came from a solid jiu-jitsu background, world champion. I think he was in Abu Dhabi. He was a elite jiu-jitsu player who got into MMA, and right away, like most jiu-jitsu guys and most wrestlers that get into MMA, they're thinking, fuck, the worst nightmare is getting taken out in a stretcher by someone, like a head kick. That's the worst nightmare. So let me take care of my striking. They get involved in their striking, and Demian Maia, he got his footwork together fairly soon, and he was like up there with when he's fighting with Anderson Silva, you know, but he obviously wasn't complete as a striker, but you can tell he made a lot of improvements, but he was still had a lot of work to do. Now, 7 years later, he stuck with it. He didn't quit. He stuck with it. A lot of guys, you know, and I'm not, you know, knocking them. I understand a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, they peep into MMA, they fuck with it for a year, 2, 3, and then like, there's way too much. I gotta walk through too much fire to get where Demian Maia is. So a lot of top jiu-jitsu guys will dip in and they'll go, you know what? What do I need to do all this shit for? I'm already known as a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm just gonna teach jiu-jitsu. Fuck this MMA shit. What Demian Maia did is what only a handful of these world-class jiu-jitsu players are doing. They're just fucking walking through the fire and they keep going. They just fucking don't quit. And eventually they become legit strikers. Like, they got 8 years of striking, 10 years of striking under their belt. You're a legit striker now. You're not just a BJJ world champion. Very few stick it out. Demian Maia stuck it out, and now, man, he's got to the point now. It's almost like, based on his model, it's almost like you take a world-class jiu-jitsu player and he wants to do MMA and he asks you, what do you think? You'd say, dude, if you could hang in there for 8 solid years, no matter how many times you lose, you just keep going forward, know that you're going to get shut off a couple times, try to eliminate that as much as possible, and just keep going no matter what happens. Just get to the 8-year mark, and as long as you spent those last 8 years always remaining a student, always learning, training your motherfucking ass off in all aspects of the fighting game, remaining open-minded, constantly adding weapons, right down to the weapon. No matter what happens, win or lose, as long as you're in the mix at around the 8, 9, 10-year mark, you're gonna be fucking Demian. You're gonna be in that Demian Maia realm right there. He figured it out. He kept going, and now we're talking about Demian Maia as like one of the scariest guys out there. We weren't doing that as much 4 or 5 years ago. He stuck stuck it out. He wasn't worried about the wins and losses. He just kept his head down, kept grinding, boom, and look what happened.
He also completely devoted himself to fighting jiu-jitsu. Like, he didn't try to be a kickboxer anymore. He's just trying to enforce his jiu-jitsu on guys.
He did have that phase where he was trying to. But if you look at it as a learning, that was a perfect thing for him to do. Like maybe in 200 years we're going to look back, and based on all these guys like Demian Maia, we're going to go, okay, we need 3 or 4 fights where you just stand no matter what. You're just standing. You have to know that you could stand in there if you had to. We got to go through that. You can't be trying to take a guy down every goddamn fight. You got to walk through the fire, win or lose. You're going to get caught. Hopefully you don't get caught. Hopefully you end up being one of those guys that crushes people. We're like, oh shit, stay standing. But you got to walk through that. There's win or lose. You got to walk through that. You got to stand with everybody. You can't be afraid. You got to have, I think that's what Georges Giselle was going through, because Georges Giselle was one of those guys who's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He comes in and he fucking doesn't want to go to the ground, and he's out there in the cage fucking throwing down in these epic wars. He won some, he lost some, but you know what? You know, one thing about Georges Giselle is he's fucking furious. He didn't give a shit. He had a black belt in jiu-jitsu and was willing to stand with anybody. Some people think that wasn't the best decision. But
he had good kickboxing too, though.
Regardless.
I mean, he wasn't standing because he wasn't good at it.
Yeah. Georges Giselle is one of those guys. I think if he would have just kept going, at this point, can you imagine if he would have just kept going? Georges Giselle could have been like a Demian Maia. He could have been just like that. But you got to have... man, you got to have the vision to see that shit, because a lot of guys just, it's way too much goddamn work, brain damage, and I got to kickbox, fuck kickbox, I'm going to get knocked, I got shot out. Maybe there's been Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions that have tried to do MMA, and dude, their first 5 fights are like 3 shutoffs, and they're just getting crushed. I don't want to name any names. That's a good reason to say, you know what, let me stick with Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean?
Well, some all-time greats.
Yeah.
You know, there's some all-time greats who got into from Jiu-Jitsu and got into MMA, only had 1 or 2 fights, and was like, they were like, fuck this.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't blame them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Why not? I mean, they're really good.
Look at me. I never fucking did MMA. I'm like,
But it's like what we were talking about when it came to, when we were talking about women's volleyball. Like, it's weird what sports become.
I hate
like,
that.
But it's weird what sports become a sport where you can make money, and which ones don't. You know, like, it would be wonderful if submission grappling by itself, you know, became a sport where there was a real obvious transition between like amateur level to like being a professional, you know,
like MMA, like getting into MMA,
or even wrestling. How is it that golf is like this super giganto sport?
It's the media.
I understand people enjoy it. Don't get me wrong.
He who controls the media.
I'm not dissing golf. I know people love that shit, but how is that a professional sport, but not wrestling, like actual wrestling? Like, can you watch like how difficult it is for actual wrestling? Didn't make it. What about basketball? Basketball made it. Basketball guys have mansions and they live in, but we're both in the Olympics. Yeah, but nobody wants to see you. You're only here because we're nice to you.
I bet if someone got behind,
crazy, right?
I bet if someone got behind female wrestling, I bet it'd be fucking huge.
Well, they tried it for a while. They had an actual wrestling event with wrestling rules. You remember that? It was a professional, I think they called it Real Pro Wrestling or something like that.
Yes.
But it was actual, God damn it. See if you can find out. It was fairly recently, like within the last decade or so.
The problem with wrestling I see crossing over to the mainstream is the glaring problems in wrestling when transitioning to MMA. In wrestling, it's totally okay to give your back.
Yeah.
It's like you give your back to win fights and to prevent losses. You give your back. So when you see that and you see 2 guys wrestling and a guy's flat on his back or flat on his face and then a guy's on his back, we know we've seen too many UFCs we just know that is not right. But I think if they made like a hybrid of wrestling and judo, you could call it no-gi judo, because although wrestling is closer to MMA because it's no-gi, you know, and there's no grabbing clothes and shit, that's closer, but you are giving the back, so that's fucked up. In judo, yes, it's further away from MMA in the sense that there's a gi and they're playing tug of war with the collars and the sleeves and all that. But when they get a takedown in judo, they're allowed like 30 seconds on the ground to go for submissions. So some guys get really good at arm bars. You don't have to. It's like extra. If you do judo and you never work on arm bars, you're fine. The most important thing is that front line. What's going to happen in that front line? In judo, submissions are like gravy. You could be good at, some guys get really good at arm bars, like Shinya Aoki, for instance, in judo. And when he wrestled nationally in Japan, he was known as, not as a takedown guy, although his takedowns are really good, obviously, because he's a black belt in judo, but he was known for flying arm bars in judo. Totally unnecessary.
Now, what is the rule on judo? Like, how quickly do you have to go to a submission once you're scrambling on the ground?
I don't know it specifically or technically. All I know is they give you time for submissions and they allow submissions. And in wrestling, they don't. But if you combined, for the sake of MMA, for the sake of creating the ultimate takedown system geared directly for MMA, I think you would have to go with a no-gi judo style. Like, it's part wrestling, part judo. Like, you take the rules of judo.
Combine them all with oil and those pants.
Yes.
And then we got the sport.
And you allow grabbing of the shaft, because that's more realistic.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
What the fuck is this, Jamie? What are you showing us? What are you showing us?
Fights are over on Fox. They probably switched it over to.
Oh.
I bet. I don't know, it's just like,
But you know
thought
what
this
I'm
is an
saying?
animal video you just put up. We just saw, what is this, like a ferret or something running around this lawn? It picked up an egg.
I gotta take a quick piss.
Yeah, go ahead. I was like, what is Jamie showing me? Is this like breaking news? There's a Zika virus ridden ferret.
I was thinking when you're talking about the high paid athletes, they haven't always been high paid though. It wasn't like
It's a good question.
70s,
I mean, it's a good
80s,
point.
Their last 30 years, there's been big revenue sharing.
I don't know when sports became huge though. I know the Yankees were huge back in the Dizzy, you know, the old time days.
TV money, I think, is where a lot of it came from.
Right. When did
commercials
football become like the biggest thing in the world? Was it in the 50s?
That's
When
when
did it
it
really
started.
bloom? Started in the 50s?
Yeah, like
It's not
the first Super
amazing.
Bowl's like 50 years ago.
That's amazing that the Super Bowl is only that. I mean, would you say 50 years?
Yeah, I think like 51 or 52.
That's
or maybe
incredible.
50 or it's like 55. They're not that deep into it.
That's really incredible when you think about it, because it seems like inexorable. It seems like you couldn't pull that out of America. Like if you tried to pull football out of America, people were like, "You ain't even American." It's only been around for like a fraction of
People
America.
think baseball's dying, but it's making just as much money as it ever has.
But the problem with football is now we know it fucks your head up. And I'm sure the case is the same or similar with MMA, and I'm sure it's the same or similar with a lot of different high-impact combat sports, boxing, kickboxing. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to do it, but the fact that that's our number one sport, and it's a sport we know, you're getting lit up all the time. Bong! Dudes are crashing into each other. Bong!
Last time we talked about this, some people sent us some videos of people playing football. It looked like high level football without pads.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
getting
That's
kinda
going on
jacked
now,
up.
right?
Yeah,
To drink
a little
while you
bit.
work?
Yeah, you can drink.
Yeah, sure.
You allow him to drink?
Yes, he can drink. So yeah, that's interesting, man, because I wonder, like, at what point in time do they say, look, it is just a fact of the game. People are going to get hurt. Let's just accept the fact. Thank you,
People
sir.
still wanna watch it.
Yeah, let's just accept the fact, and these gentlemen should get paid a significant amount of money, you know? I mean, I guess.
I mean, it's just the revenue sharing. I just looked something up real quick, just really quick. Baseball, MLB, and NFL both are getting over $3 billion a year that they're sharing with their players. Who knows how much it is in fighting, but the share isn't.
Baseball's totally different.
Right.
Because baseball, you're not getting hurt. Like the football thing is a total. I mean, you obviously have the potential to get hurt. You could definitely get hit by a pitch. When I was a kid, man, that was was his name Tony C? That guy that died. He got hit by a pitch. I believe he was a Boston Red Sox player, and he got hit with a pitch, and got really badly hurt by the pitch.
Tony
Canigliaro.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep.
Canigliari or O?
R-O.
R-O. Yeah. That was a big thing when I was a kid. Like, I remember thinking, whoa, you can get that fucked up by a pitch that you're never the same again? Guys getting hit by fastballs, it was no joke. And you have to think, what kind of helmets did they have in the beginning? Did they have no helmets at all? You know? What kind of helmets did they have in baseball?
Like a regular, like they're almost like football helmets.
Now
kinda.
they do. But when did they come up with those?
Not until late.
They made Little League
probably.
baseball players wear them all the time, but I guess they always made professionals wear helmets.
I got to pee
right?
too. You guys talk this out.
No, because in like hockey, there was when I was younger, there were players that didn't have to wear helmets, and there's even guys now that
in
don't
hockey,
have to wear a face mask.
I remember that in hockey, you had wearing a helmet meant you were a pussy or something,
Yeah.
right? In hockey, but then little by little,
It's the grandfathered in thing, like guys.
dude, there's got to be a
badass.
movie about that guy, the first guy that wore the helmet and all the persecution he got. He must have had a good excuse. He probably had some kind of head trauma where like, dude, I got to wear a helmet. One more hit, and I'm a vegetable.
Well, where I'm from in Ohio, I think it was the first place in an NHL game that someone died in the crowd because a puck came flying into the crowd. A little girl died.
She got hit by a puck?
Yeah. So they
Oh
had to
my
put
God.
Nets up all around the outside, so it doesn't happen anymore. But
Did it happen every now and then?
catching a puck at a game used to be a thing, sort of like a foul ball. Like they used to
Yeah.
come flying in and keep your eyes open because
How many
shit
people get
happens.
fucked up from foul balls? I always wondered that, like line drives and shit.
Old people, I've seen them come flying at people's
Has
heads.
anybody ever like had serious like head trauma?
Yeah, broken bats have come flying into the crowd too. With
Shit.
Sharp flying
And
edges.
just-
Yeah.
Anybody get stabbed in the eye with the bat?
I'll look up a bat.
Damn.
Yeah, that's definitely happened.
How often do people get fucked up at baseball games, like in the audience? You know, like foul balls
Oh,
and
yeah,
shit.
they get hurt, man.
Because some of
people
them
get hurt.
them line drive foul balls go right through someone's fucking forehead.
Oh yeah, and how about bats? They
Yeah,
get hit
so
with
just-
bats.
here's
Bats are real
It
scary.
happened in
Don't
Fenway
play
Park.
me. Don't
It's
you
not a
fucking
video.
put that evil on me, Jamie
It's not a
Varner.
video. It's just a picture of it, but it's,
I don't even
People
want to
getting
see it,
dragged
man.
out.
Woman got-
Okay.
I don't want to
okay.
see it, man. A baseball is a hard fucking rock. It's a rock with a piece of fucking leather over it.
and they're all dangerous. It's just sort of what adds some of the risk and excitement to it. That there's something bad that can't happen. It doesn't
Yo, dude,
usually
you wouldn't
happen,
want to
though.
get hit in the head with a softball. Fuck a baseball.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to get hit in the head with a basketball.
Yeah.
You know?
Or in those flying, they jump into the crowd and land on you and fuck up not only your clothes, but like they could break your leg or hurt a person.
Yeah. People go, why don't you get hit? Because I'm not stupid. And I'm a pussy. Okay, you happy? I don't want to get hit by a fucking baseball. If I went to a baseball game, I'd be like an armored knight. I'd have a shield and shit. I'd be looking through the shield.
You walked out when I said it in Columbus, where I'm from. I think it was one of the first times it happened. A hockey puck went flying into the crowd and it killed a little girl.
Oh, no.
So they had to start putting nets up around. And I think it started happening too. And they've extended it in baseball now. They're extending the nets where people.
Jamie,
have shit
Joe
flying
doesn't
in
want
the
to hear
crowd.
that. Come on.
Bums me out, man. You
Come
put
on.
that evil on me, Jamie.
Come on.